Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Preston Sports Podcast. It is draft day. I am so excited. This is probably one of my favorite days on the NFL calendar, especially this draft in particular because there's so much uncertainty. I'm super excited. It's 5:30 right now, so we got about an hour and a half left towards the draft, and I got to get this final mock draft out. I'm not doing this in the studio today because I feel lazy, don't want to get it set up. So we're just coming at you from the kitchen table. Before I get started, make sure you like, subscribe, tell me how many of these picks I got wrong, which I'm guessing is probably going to be around 28. I imagine I'll only get 4 of these right. It's just because this class is so crazy. So I'm just going to get into this quick because I got to record and edit and upload within the next hour and a half. I pre-did this draft too, so I'm not making the picks as I go along. And this is a prediction for what I think will happen, whereas the other mock drafts have been more of what I would do if I was those teams in those situations. So we'll start number 1, Trayvon Walker. Since in the past 24 hours, he went from being the second or third favorite to being the favored number 1 pick. I think he's minus 240 on a lot of betting websites, and so I imagine it will be Trayvon Walker. There was discussion in Jacksonville where it was like the owner wanted one player, the GM wanted one player, and the coach wanted another. I think the GM who wanted Trayvon Walker is going to win. A high upside edge rusher out of Georgia. You're basically betting on the upside, and I don't know if that's what you should do, but I do think that's what will happen. Number 2, story kind of writes itself. Aiden Hutchinson going to the Detroit Lions. Michigan guy staying in state. If you're the Lions, you're like, wow, we got Aiden Hutchinson at number 2. I saw a mock draft from a year ago that had him as a second or third round guy, and so it's crazy that he's going top 2 right now. But I definitely think Aiden Hutchinson would be the pick, number 2. Number 3, I have Ike Mekwonu, the tackle out of NC State. And what I think they're going to do is I think they can put him at guard. You move Titus Howard out of guard, move him to his more natural tackle position. I think I've been pretty solid on Ike Mekwonu. I think Ike Mekwonu has potential to be the best player out of this draft. That's just my personal opinion. And I think the Texans, I think Davis Mills is your guy, so I think you want to build around him just a little bit in this draft. Number 4, I have the New York Jets taking Sauce Gardner. Lot of talk about Sauce Gardner recently. He's really been rising up boards, and I think number 4 is a great place to take corner. I think you take a corner at number 4, they're probably going to be a top 5 corner in the league. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, figure out who was the last corner who went number 4 overall. I think he also has a lot of potential to be the best player. Number 5, I went back and forth on Evan Neal and Charles Cross. I did end up deciding on Evan Neal going to the Giants at number 5. Reason being, I think Charles Cross is more of a left tackle. Him being that super good pass protector, even just the way he's built, and I believe he played on the left side at Mississippi. And so I think they take Evan Neal to play right tackle just because you already have Andrew Thomas at left tackle, and he started playing really well last year. So I think if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. And you take Evan Neal, and you bet on being able to get an edge rusher at 7. Carolina Panthers, number 6, Kenny Pickett. I think it's weird that Kenny Pickett is my first quarterback off the board, but I really think that Matt Rule Temple connection works. I think coaches will probably get a little egotistical and say, nah, I believe in this guy. I think we can coach him up. Believe in your ability to bring out his potential. I think Kenny Pickett has potential to be a pretty decent NFL quarterback. I was kind of thinking maybe I don't have them go quarterback and have them go Charles Cross because, they might be in the Baker Mayfield trade sweepstakes. They could be in the Jimmy G sweepstakes. But I think quarterback here at number 6 is a pretty good option. The Giants at number 7, picking once again. I think one of these Giant spots is a place where they could trade back, but not going to mess with trades. That's way too hard to predict. I have them going Kayvon Thibodeau. The fact that he's available at number 7 is insane. I honestly think he probably should be the number 1 overall pick, but he's available at 7, and so if you're the Giants, you really need that edge help, and so you kind of have to. Number 8, I have them going Garrett Wilson. I don't think Marcus Mariota is the answer, but I think if you're the blank family, you need to make it look like you're all in on this year. And, Calvin Ridley, yes, he's gone for this year, but when he comes back, Garrett Wilson and Calvin Ridley would be a pretty decent wide receiver duo, to say the least. And I think you also want to make the Falcons' offense an attractive place for free agent quarterbacks or quarterbacks available for trade. So I think wide receiver there is a best move. The Seahawks at number 9, you have to go Charles Cross. Your offensive line has just been so bad for so long. You really need to take Charles Cross. I don't know exactly how their left tackle situation is, but I believe Charles Cross is an upgrade. At number 10, there's at least a month ago there was talk about the Jets taking Drake London at number 4. So I'm going to have them taking him at number 10. I think also this could be the 49ers picking. I think the Jets could trade the 10th overall pick for Deebo Samuel. But either way, I do think it will be a wide receiver. It's just either going to be Drake London or someone like Jameson Williams. But I think that if the Jets were here, they'd take Drake London. Number 11, I've had them going wide receiver a lot, but I have this board falling a little bit differently. And so if you're the Washington as it says on the Draft Network, if you're the Commanders, you go Derek Stingley Jr. here, a cornerback out of LSU. Another guy who was being talked about 2 years ago as a top 5 pick lock. And then, those 2 years, he just kind of gave up a little bit, used that number 5 lock to coast his way into the top 15. But I do think he can be very good. There's some effort concerns that you'll undoubtedly have, but I think you have to. 12, Minnesota Vikings. I haven't taken Kyle Hamilton. I've been a little bit harder on Kyle Hamilton. I used to think he was the best player in the draft. Now I don't think that. I do think he should still be a first-round pick, and I think he can be very good if used effectively. I believe that's more of a box safety, but at least someone who's not asked to cover tight ends man-on-man and someone who's not asked to cover single high. I think he can be very good, and I think he would fit in pretty well with that Vikings defense. You got kind of Harrison Smith for that top role. The Houston Texans. This is another place where I think they could either trade up back into the top 10, try to grab a wide receiver, or trade back with another team, probably the Cowboys to get Chris Olave. But if they stay at 13 and the board falls the way, I have them taking Jermaine Johnson. You definitely need edge help, and you could probably go someone like Jameson Williams or Chris Olave, but I think that defense really needs some work. I think you have enough at wide receiver, or you can get enough at wide receiver. 14, Baltimore Ravens. I would hate it if this happens, but I have them going Jordan Davis. Their interior defensive line is getting older, and I think they need to get young at that position, and Jordan Davis is a freak athlete, someone who should definitely be considered for top 15 selection. Eagles at 15, they have 2 picks in this first round. I have them going Jameson Williams, wide receiver out of Alabama, recovering off, I believe, an ACL tear, but I mean, it's 2022, and an ACL tear basically means you take 9 months and you get very much better. New Orleans Saints, I have them going Chris Olave, wide receiver out of Ohio State. I think Chris Olave is going to be a stud, and I think you combine that with Michael Thomas, and who I have them taking later in this draft, and I think you get a very good offense. If you're the Chargers, you are thanking Jesus that Trevor Penning fell to you at 17. You want Justin Herbert to be safe. This is your Super Bowl window. Your quarterback who will demand large monies on a rookie deal. And I think Trevor Penning is your right tackle of the future. If not, he's your 4 years. He's your guy. At 18, I have Philly back up again, taking Trent McDuffie. You just need corner help. Darius Slay is old. I don't even know if they still have Avonte Maddox, but it's Avonte Maddox. It's no one insane. I think Trent McDuffie would be very good for that Eagles defense. I think anything would be good for that Eagles defense, in all honesty. The Saints back at 19. We're going Malik Willis, quarterback out of Liberty. And I'm going to take a little bit longer to explain this one, because I'm personally a Jameis Winston believer. And I was talking with a friend maybe 30 minutes ago, and he was like, I don't think they should take quarterback because they have Jameis Winston, and I think Jameis Winston will be good. My friend said that. I said, I agree with you. Jameis Winston will be really good. That's why they need to take Malik Willis. And he goes, that doesn't make sense. Why would you take a quarterback if you have someone who will play fine? The Saints are still in a very bad cap situation. They are consistently restructuring contracts and kicking that can down the curb. If Jameis Winston plays very well, I bet he'll want an extension after this year because he signed a 2-year deal, but I bet he'll want an extension. And if that is the case, I don't know if you can afford to keep Jameis Winston. So you take Malik Willis, let him sit behind Jameis at least this year, if not the next 2 years. And then if Jameis wants an extension, he's like, I'm not playing until I get my extension, trade him, or just let him walk into free agency if he's fine playing out that contract. And then you have Malik Willis, who I think can be a very good prospect. And I think we can all agree Jameis Winston is much better having sat behind for a couple of years. And I think Malik Willis could benefit greatly from that same thing. Number 20, I have the Steelers taking Zion Johnson. Not a lot to really say there. You need interior offensive line, and I think Zion Johnson's one of the best in the class. Kind of a weird pick at 21. I saw a guy named Bangle on YouTube do this, and I actually really agree with that. Quay Walker. DB is probably the Patriots' number one need, I would say personally, or you could go interior offensive line, but I think defense is what you really want to fix because that's what's important to New England. So they will bet on themselves and will take a defensive back in the second round and say, we can develop this guy. You look at some of their best DBs, Devin McCourty, J.C. Jackson, Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler and J.C. Jackson were both undrafted. So I think that they'll do that. Quay Walker, kind of a similar linebacker and not necessarily to draft position, but build and skill set as Jamie Collins, and I think they really value that in their defense. So I do think 21 is a spot for Quay Walker to go. That's one where if it's wrong, I'm completely fine with it because it's something that I heard someone else do, and I was like, that is actually a very good idea. I think that is very possible. 22, they're not going to trade for Darren Waller. That was a crazy day where I thought that could happen. So I have them taking Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. They just need wide receivers. You're looking at Alan Lazard being number one, and you really don't want him to be your only guy. I think he's fine, and I think Aaron Rodgers will raise the talent of that wide receiver group or that pass catching group in general. But I think you definitely need to add a wide receiver. 23, Khair Elam. I think the Cardinals need corner, and I understand you probably would like to add some sort of interior offensive line, but I just don't like the fit. I mean, I guess Kenyon Green you could add, but I think you really need help on that defense. I thought about taking George Karlaftis, but you probably do need that edge help a little bit more, but I just don't think that's as realistic for them as taking a corner because you really don't have much in your cornerback room. Number 24, Dallas Cowboys, like I said, probably going to trade up, but if they stay at 24 and the board falls like this, Tyler Linderbaum, they need a center. They need a center. Gosh, they just need a center. They need offensive line, 2 interior spots, and a tackle spot. They need offensive line, which is crazy. Dallas was at one point like the best offensive line in the league, and just a few years later, they need 3 offensive linemen. 25, Buffalo. Still think they're going to take running back. I think they're taking Breece Hall out of Iowa State. Goodness gracious. Don't think they should do this, but I think they will. There's always that one team that will reach for a running back. And I think if you're the Bills, you're like, this offense is missing one thing, and that is a running attack outside of Josh Allen. Okay, this one, 26, Tennessee Titans. I think they're going to take Sam Howell, and I'm going to explain why this is another one I'm going to dive into a little bit more. Ryan Tannehill played very well for the Titans the past couple of years. He is 34, and that's crazy to me that he's 34. I would have thought he was younger than that, probably like 30, 31, but he is 34. And you're saying he signed a pretty big extension. Yes, he's getting paid $29 million this year, $27 million next year. But after 2020 or after 2022, they have a potential out where instead of paying $27 million in cap space, they would only pay just about $1,900, kind of what Baker's making right now. So I think that if they use that, if they take a quarterback right here and use that potential out to save that $9-ish million in cap space, and then that way they can use that on other, use it on a wide receiver. I understand wide receiver is a big need, and so you're thinking, well, why don't they take Jahan Dotson or reach for someone? I think they should take quarterback here. I think it's a deep enough wide receiver class where you can trade up in the second round and try to get someone pretty good, or even if you stay where you are, you could still probably get someone good. But I think they should take Sam Howell, quarterback, North Carolina. That's just kind of that's really a shot in the dark. I think they could do it, and I don't know if they will, but I want them to do it. I just realized I made a mistake. Oh no. I'm gonna edit one of my picks. I can do that. This is my mock draft. I can do whatever I want. I'm gonna change Buffalo Bills. I'm gonna say they go Daxton Hill instead of Breece Hall. I'm gonna feel stupid if they still take Breece Hall, but I think Daxton Hill is a shot there. I kind of forgot to take him, but Sorry about that. So Tampa Bay, I have them going Kenyon Green, interior offensive lineman out of Texas A&M. They just need an interior offensive line. Alex Cappa walked and Ali Marpet retired. So you need to make sure that Tom Brady is protected for one last ride in Tampa. 29, I have the Packers going George Karlaftis. Zadarius Smith walked in free agency. I think George Karlaftis would be I was torn between George Karlaftis and Boye Mafe because one of them was going to the Chiefs, one of them was going to the Packers. I chose George Karlaftis because I think he would work in that Packers front where they everyone moves around. They don't really have defined roles. Like you could be interior, exterior, defensive line. And I think George Karlaftis would fit into that. Not that Boye Mafe wouldn't, but I just think George Karlaftis is the better prospect. 29 and 30, Chiefs are picking back-to-back. I have Boye Mafe and Jahan Dotson. You need edge help. You need wide receiver help. Don't think I have to explain that too much. But that wide receiver room is looking pretty nice considering Tyreek Hill left. You're looking at Juju Smith-Schuster, MVS, Jahan Dotson, and Mecole Hardman. That's a pretty solid wide receiver room at best. And you're taking money on, or you're putting money down on Patrick Mahomes. Putting money down on Patrick Mahomes, lifting them. Bengals, Kyler Gordon. This is a weird one. They invited him to the draft, so he has to be going in the first round. I think the NFL is high on him, so I do think he'll go first round. And then 32, Desmond Ridder, quarterback. The Lions, I think Jared Goff is a very good player, but I think you probably want to upgrade on him. Kind of similar as the Malik Willis situation. He sits and then just learns. So yeah, that is my first round mock draft. For the draft that takes place in about an hour from now. I am very hopeful that I got at least 5 of these picks right. Don't think I will. If it's something like the Packers take someone with one of their 2 picks, or the Dolphins, the Eagles take someone like it's flipped, I'm still counting that as right. If they take Jamison Williams at 18 or Trent McDuffie at 15, that still counts as right. Just give me that. Thank y'all so much for listening. Don't forget to watch the draft tonight. Enjoy it. And then make sure you tell me what I got wrong. Once again, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I will talk to y'all later. I think I'll have another podcast coming out Saturday. I did it with a famous musician, Outkast. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all on Saturday. Peace out.